Welcome to Michigan Living with Jeff. I'm your host, Jeff Spencer, your realtor. And let's get to this article. We're talking about trees. Trees for your property to boost the value of your house. All right, let's talk about it. All right, now, if you're a homeowner who missed the boat on a red hot real estate market, selling your property at premium might be easier than you think, at least if it has some trees. It sounds silly, but real estate pros have brought buyers are drawn towards treed lawns for both aesthetics and economical reasons. They're so drawn to them, in fact, that they're willing to pay a premium. Data backs this up too. Numerous studies have shows that homes with trees have anywhere from a 3.5 to 15% more value than those without them. If you're selling the median priced home in the U.S. currently $407,000, that means anywhere from $14,000 to $61,000 more in profit. That's a lot of money. One of the very best things you can do to increase the value and estate-like quality of your home is to surround it with beautiful trees and foliage, says Susie Daly, a real estate agent at Real Estate One. It will definitely increase the dollar value of your house as well as the community you live in. They have done studies where cities have gone in and actually purposely planted trees on the outside, where the sidewalks are, and then there's a street, that little grass area in between. A lot of times cities prefer to be able to have trees there because the general view and general mentality of people driving in to those places think of those neighborhoods and stuff like that, much more positively than not. How much is a tree worth? The exact premium a tree can provide depends on a lot of factors, like when it's planted, the look and condition of the tree, and how mature it is. Methods to assess a particular tree's value do exist, although these typically used for insurance and legal purposes. When when a tree has been damaged, for example, and not for pricing a house. Dubbed tree appraisals, these use various formulas to assign a monetary price to each tree based on its size, condition, and species. According to one method from the Purdue University Department of Horticulture, white firs, Colorado blue spruces, American beeches, and sugar maples are among the highest valued trees. Using the Purdue formula, a sugar maple with a 10-inch trunk diameter in good health is valued at over $3,500. Mark Dutman, owner of National Path Forestry, says he recently appraised a swamp oak, white oak, for a local homeowners association. After taking into account the cost of similar trees and current condition of the tree in question, he determined it was worth just over $79,000. That's a lot of money for a tree. To be clear, if that specific white oak were on your property, it would mean you could sell the house for $79,000 more. All right? But if a third party were to kill the tree, the HOA could seek this number in damages. That's huge. For homeowners, the real value is a beautiful, well-maintained tree comes from how appealing it makes the property to potential buyers. Mark Walser, president of Center Appraisal Management, used his own experience as an example. All right. He bought in his Charlotte, North Carolina home a few years ago. Its abundance of mature trees was a big factor. He was even willing to pay more than what other untreed homes were going for in the area. Did he pay the exact amount those trees were worth, though? Not likely. Our lot has 3 mature Japanese dwarf maples valued at over $8,000 to $15,000 a piece. If our seller stated they wanted a $25,000 premium for the Japanese maples, I would not have paid it. It's highly unlikely an appraiser would have included those in this evaluation. They would never have put that in their valuation. All right. Treated homes are clearly in demand, but why? All right. Real estate pros say it depends on the buyer. For some, it's simply aesthetic. Trees, particularly mature, shady ones, and those with flowers and fruit, just look nice. For more eco-conscious homebuyers, trees offer even more benefits. They improve air quality, reduce water runoff, and trap carbon dioxide, which contributes to climate change. In hotter parts of the U.S., they can also reduce the energy output of a home. And I love my tree because there's a bunch of times, especially when the sun hits it just perfect, the shadow just hits my house, and very rarely does my air conditioner even go off in order to help cool the house because, well, it's under the shade. So there's this really nice. And of course, I don't have any branches that are going over my house at all. That's one thing you should always be careful of, is not to allow tree branches to actually, go over your house. All right, because if they break or whatever and then come down, it can be bad news. All right, that comes with a huge cost savings. The Center for Urban Forest Research found that just one tree planted in the west side of a home can reduce its energy bills by 3% in 5 years, and 12% by 15. All right, so I'm assuming that if you plant it within 5 years, it'll be enough to reduce your energy bills for your air conditioning by 3%. But in 15 years, it'll reduce your energy usage by 12%. That's huge, and that's just one tree. It's harder to assign a dollar value to trees in your property compared to, say, a kitchen remodel. It's clear that they make your home more attractive to potential buyers. Anecdotally, real estate agents say homes with trees sell faster, as much as 3 times faster by some accounts. Yeah. Most people that I know of, especially my clients, generally like the look of trees, in the summertime, obviously. Because there's something about trees that people just feel good about. There's no negative stereotypes for people with dealing with trees. So it's generally always a good thing to have. Large shade trees in particular have an oomph, she says, a presence that serves as a pleasant backdrop for picnics, swings, and leisure time. Exactly. Like I said, there's not too many things that trees are ever thought of in a negative. The only time that it can be a negative and stuff is if, of course, you have one that has not been maintained and is old, or just something unfortunate happens, right? So you always have to be able to keep that into account. Of course, trees can be able to hurt. A tree that has been poorly selected, poorly sited on property, and not maintained well can certainly be a negative feature. Poor structure and significant deadwood, branches touching the house, and noxious fruit are a few of the examples. All right, like I said, there's a few things that can be negative, but just as long as you think it through and plant them accordingly. Always plant something that you know how big it's going to be. All right, if you know how big a plant is going to be, whether a shrub or even a tree, and then you take that into account how big it's going to be when it's fully matured, you generally won't have any problems. All right. Yep, all these turns buyers off. It can cost anywhere from $200 to $2,000 to remove a single tree. And removing a handful of them, they can easily run into tens of thousands. Now, what is really the best trees for your money? All right, and where to plant them. That's key. That's the part that you really care about. All right. Whether you just moved in a new home or have been at the same place for years, planting trees for profitability takes some careful consideration. To start, find out what trees are native to your area. If you're in the Midwest, you might opt for a bur oak. In the Northeast, gray birch could be a good choice. You could check with a local arborist or landscaping company, get an idea of what trees are native to your region. All right. You can also Google. I mean, let's face facts. You can just simply Google trees native to your area, and a bunch of stuff will pop up for you. All right. Choosing native trees can extend their lifespan and make them easier to care for. Duh. Native trees are notorious for, well, a native tree is a native tree. It's designed to grow perfectly fine in your area. That's the whole point of a native tree. All right. Can choose a care for it. They also require fewer resources. You don't have to touch them as much. You don't have to deal with them. That's particularly why Taylor Morrison, one of the nation's biggest home builders, uses 100% native plants in community parks and green spaces. Oh, no kidding. They want to have low costs for maintenance. Native plants have evolved in your region over the course of hundreds of thousands of years. All right. These plants thrive in the local soils, rainfall levels, weather, and local climate conditions, so they are less maintenance. They require less maintenance and have more positive environmental impact than non-native species. Once you've settled on a tree type, choose the proper placement. Remember to think of them when they're fully grown, not when they're tiny, but when they're full grown, and plant them accordingly. All right. Large trees in a prominent front yard position will likely fetch the highest premium. True. One caveat to that, because this I don't think even talks about it at all. So far, it hasn't. Is that where is your drain pipe from your house sewer system leading to the street? Know where that is on the property, and don't, especially if it's going to be a big tree, don't plant it right next to where that pipe is. All right, that's how you get that pipe getting blocked all the time. All right, and then you need to have Roto-Rooter or whatever come through and just bring in his chopping blades and then chop the roots up. All right, you don't want to do that. You want the big trees, far enough away from the sewer pipe that's leading to the street. All right. You don't want that to be getting roots and stuff like that all encrusted and all, having all these issues. You don't want to deal with that crap. Okay, there's a major point right there. Strategically placed evergreen windbreak trees provide the most savings in the winter. Correct. All right, depending upon the size of property that you have. All right, generally, and so the worst winds. The coldest winds are always coming from where? Your northwest. All right, northwest is winter because there's always the winds are always coming down, and the northern winds are always going to be the coldest. All right. Now, generally, some of the winds always travel from west to east, so it's always going to be coming. The coldest winds are generally always going to be coming in from your northwest. So if you plant any particular trees, especially evergreens, etc., you plant them in that direction to use them as a windbreak. All right, you don't want a windbreak coming from the southeast, because that's where, of course, your warmer air is coming from, right? So that's where you want to be able to put that break. All right, so there's just going to block. It's going to save you a bunch of money in the winter. All right. Large deciduous trees on the east and west side of the building will provide the most summer energy savings. Since those trees will include oaks and maples, create a canopy of shade in the spring and drop their leaves when the weather dips. On the other hand, strategically placed evergreen windbreak trees will provide the most savings in the winter. Finally, and most importantly, according to the pros, read up on what care and maintenance are required to keep your tree in good shape. At the very least, that means watering it regularly, pruning dead and diseased limbs, and mulching. It depends on a lot of factors, okay? It doesn't really cost you much, if anything at all, to just go to your local tree or bush dispensary, nursery, and just ask them. Well, there's people that usually work there that know what they're doing. And usually, if it's a good place, they will even hire people have like degrees and know all the crap about all the different stuff. So and you can be able to just go there and go, hey, yeah, what should I buy for this situation? And since they're in that area, well, they're going to generally, and so it always steer you towards the native plants because they know better. They know, all right? So that's another little helpful tip. The appeal of a beautiful, grand, and healthy tree is always welcome sight at any home. But a dead or diseased tree, that won't get you any favors. You know, if anything, that could bring down the price of your home or property. All right? Or if you go on over to be able to buy a property and you see this, well, obviously, and so that you're going to be go, whoa, yeah, how much is it going to be costing me, you know, to remove? Because obviously, and so that's going to have to be removed. So then, you take that off of your asking, you know, their asking price. Okay, a couple little tricks for for saving money, and also for being able to make your house more desirable for buyers. Okay, just simple little tips and so that I got here for you for talking about trees. Like and share, and I'll talk to you later and so that. See you around. Bye bye.